meeting in particular, I said, oh, this name is scared. There's something you can start on.
For those that do not know me, my name is Darrell Barnes. I am the chairman of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning. Coming from Prince George's County, I am excited I'm more excited to be sitting beside my co-pilot, if you will, and Artie Harris, that I believe that together we are going to do some amazing things. So as I've said before, let's get ready to buckle up and enjoy the ride. Because I think there are some things that I am looking at, and I know that he has been looking at over a period of time that will hopefully make this commission even better than what it is. And it all stems from the men and women that work here. So I'm excited to be a part of it. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into what we have. So there's approval of the commission meeting agenda.
Mr. Chairman, shall I call the roll?
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Chairman Barnes,
Here.
Commissioner Geraldo,
Here.
Commissioner Washington,
Here.
Montgomery side, Vice Chair Harris,
Here.
Commissioner Hedrick,
Here.
Commissioner Pettaway,
Here.
confirming we do not have Commissioners Bailey and Linden joining us.
Actually,
Oh,
you've got my
Commissioner
name
Bartley.
wrong. My name is Mr. Bartley, and you spell my name Bartley. Bartley.
Forgive me, Commissioner. Commissioner Bartley. We have 7 commissioners present. We have quorum, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to approve the commission meetings agenda.
So move.
Seconded,
Mr. James.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Guys have it.
Aye.
It's the chairman's preference, whether to have a verbal or
Yes, the ayes have it. So the minutes approved for today, July 16th, commission meeting agenda. Next on the item is the approval of commission minutes.
Move approval from the prior meeting. I move approval. Second.
Been properly moved and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, just as a point of order, Commissioners Bailey, Chairman Barnes, Commissioner Bartley, and Hedrick were not at the last meeting. Unless they reviewed the video and minutes and approved them, they should be abstaining.
I shall abstain.
I'll abstain. Yeah, that's right. I missed Lawson.
Thanks. So that would be 4 approving, 3 abstaining. Thank you.
General announcements. One is the bereaved parents month. And August is commission, our recess in August, so there will be no meetings. Then upcoming Labor Day holiday, September the 1st. And upcoming Hispanic Heritage Month is September 15th through October 6th. Just wanted to make sure that you all are aware of some of these general announcements. Committee and board reports. Employees retirement system board or trustee regular meeting minutes from June 18th.
And that is listed incorrectly as June 18. That would be June 3. Thank you.
So, are there any questions?
None this one.
Thank you. I'd like to go into a closed session, but pursuant to Maryland General Provision Article of the Annotated Code, Maryland Section 3-305 B-9, a closed session is proposed to conduct collective bargaining negotiation or consider matters that relate to the negotiations.
Mr. Chair, make a motion that we go into closed session.
Second,
second.
Mr. James.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and second. And I see no one in opposition. We will now go into a closed session. resume session. The purpose of us having a closed session was to talk about the collective bargaining negotiation. And with that, the first item for presentation is the amendment to the Maryland National Capital Planning Commission Practice 1-40 organization and functions of the Office of the General Counsel and the Maryland National Capital Planning Practice 2.24 ethics pertaining to pro bono presentation. Mike.
Morning. Morning. Wes Anderson, for the record, Deputy General Counsel. It's great to see everyone. If I could have your indulgence, I'm going to use my computer to drive, so it will take me a second to get squared away.
Can we also get a camera facing him? That's fine.
Okay. So yes, as was just stated, I'm going to be presenting proposed amendments to Practice 140, which is the organization and function of the Office of the General Counsel, as well as Practice 224, the Code of Ethics, and I'm going to be requesting your approval for those proposed amendments. The slides for my presentation begin on circle page 15, if you would like to follow along in the packet. I'm going to start with a brief background, just for context. Then I'm going to present what the proposed changes are, and then open it up for questions. Should you have any, obviously, you're free to ask questions as I go along as well. So on June 18th, at the commission meeting, the commission did approve the creation of a pro bono legal representation policy and permission for OGC attorneys to provide pro bono legal service pursuant to that policy. Based on the approval, amendments are needed for Practice 140, which again is the organization and function of the Office of the General Counsel, as well as Practice 224, the Code of Ethics. Additionally, changes are needed for Practice 140 because we have added a compliance practice team. So the addition of that team needed to be codified in Practice 140. So I'll walk you through those amendments. The amendments to Practice 140 are additions in their entirety. We're not taking anything away, we're just adding. So for the organization of the Office of the General Counsel, as has already been stated, we are adding the compliance practice team, and that will be enumerated under the OGC legal functions. And then as far as the duties and functions of the various teams, under the functions of the General Counsel, we're adding language that the General Counsel provides advice regarding compliance with federal, state, and local laws. We're also adding that the General Counsel provides direction and oversight over the pro bono practice, which again is OGC attorneys providing representation on a pro bono basis. Then also under the duties and functions of the office as a whole, we are adding the compliance practice team. And under that function, we're codifying the duties and functions of the compliance practice team. And lastly, for the Practice 140, we're adding an organizational chart, which has been the pattern and practice recently from the corporate policy team, is to add the organizational charts of the various departments. So we have added that. And that encapsulates all the changes or all the additions to the organization and function of the Office of the General Counsel. So the amendments to Practice 224, they only reside in the non-commission employment section of the ethics policy. And what it does is the change specifies that non-commission employment does include pro bono representation by non-OGC attorneys. So what that means is that if you're an attorney for the commission, but you're not in the Office of the General Counsel, if you want to provide pro bono legal representation, you still need to follow the current practice of submitting a request for non-commission employment up your chain of command, to your direct supervisor and then up to the department head for approval. So that remains non-commission employment. However, we are adding that, or specifying, I should say, that non-commissioned employment does not include pro bono legal representation that is given by attorneys that are within the office of the general counsel. The reason being is that the commission has already approved us to do that. The commission has already approved OGC attorneys to provide pro bono legal representation. So there's no need to submit a request for non-commissioned employment to do that for the policy as it stands. The pro bono legal representation, as it stands with the Office of the General Counsel, we will be conducting our own conflicts of interest review to make sure that there's no issue there. As far as attorneys who are not within the OGC, when they submit their request to do pro bono legal representation, it will be the same process. They still need to do a check for conflicts. They can ask for help from OGC as they do now for other non-commissioned employment. It's just that their representation will be managed, or that outside employment will be managed through their chain of command.
You managed to do what?
By their chain of command, the direct supervisor and the department head,
Thank you.
as is all other non-commissioned employment. And that's the only change to the ethics policy, is just in that section for non-commissioned employment.
Commissioners, are there any questions?
I think it's great that the amendments and also with the approval that we did previously with the pro bono, it's an important aspect. And I know the Maryland State Bar Association recommends it because there's so many people going to court without proper representation. So I wholeheartedly support it.
Commissioner Barkley.
Thanks. I like the fact that the commission is allowing its attorneys to engage in pro bono representation of clients, and I think it's a wise decision that before the representation begins, that there's a conflict of interest check. But I wasn't aware that the commission had other lawyers outside of the Office of the General Counsel. Will the lawyers be permitted to offer pro bono services in all areas of law, or will they be precluded from helping citizens in certain areas of law? Thanks.
No, great question, sir. So right now, the policy as it's written, it does exclude certain practice areas. So for example, we won't be engaging in the practice of criminal law. And I don't have the actual proposed policy right before me. I can share it with you. We do have enumerated areas that we are permitted to practice so that, we don't veer off too far left, too far right, and so that it minimizes the opportunity for conflicts. Also with the understanding that there are certain practice areas that require a lot of work and a lot of time. And the idea here is to provide assistance in certain areas, not to be a full-time outside attorney. So yes, I think we reduced it to about 8 different practice areas. And most of the time, the pro bono opportunities will present themselves in the form of clinics. So, clinics on wills, estates, and trusts, for example. You go, you can present for an hour or assist for an hour. Commissioner Geraldo, you're very aware of that as well. So yeah, it will be restricted.
If I can just answer the second part of that question, there are other attorneys working in the commission who are not working as commission attorney. So for instance, Michael Beckham in the policy office is an attorney. He's not practicing for the commission, but he is an attorney. And, so other people like that who have either a JD or may even be barred, but not practicing for the commission, may still be interested in this program. And we've actually had a couple of people call us about it. So we just wanted to make it clear that we're not attempting to sort of bring them within our sphere of influence. We're not trying to supervise people who we don't supervise today. We want that to go up through their normal chain of command so that there's not any confusion about who your supervisor is. And also, I'm trying to make sure that Wes is not overrun with extra work because he's going to be coordinating this program for the Office of General Counsel. We don't know how much interest this is going to get. We don't know how much work this is going to be yet. So we want to start small and then maybe, we'll see how it works and maybe we'll, come back to you and say, this is great. We want to expand. We want, more people to have this opportunity through us. Because again, Wes will be connecting our attorneys who express interest with the pro bono referrals. So it's not a passive thing. We're going to be literally, making sure that the connections are made and that they are appropriate for, somebody who has a full-time job working for the commission. Our efforts here are not to either shortchange or short shrift the commission's work. That is priority. But we do feel that we have expertise to contribute. And, we are really excited about the opportunity to be able to do that because we really haven't done that in the past.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have no questions, but I support
Yes,
this.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are these pro bono work part of the regular work program? Or is it outside the regular work program, if I understand, because this pro bonos is not something that is related to commission work, correct?
That's correct. It's outside of the regular work program. How it will work is that we will connect with, a referral service. There are probably 100 of, referral services in the state of Maryland. And what they do is they will refer you to a particular individual or a particular clinic or program that is operating that connects people who need legal advice with lawyers who are willing to do it for free. And so, this is entirely outside of the commission's work, which is why it has been so restricted, and it is still restricted. This is an opportunity for lawyers to do work that's not for the commission, but that's for people of limited means who can't afford legal representation. And it might be estates and trusts, it might be expungements. Expungement clinics are very much the rage right now. An attorney can go and spend 2 hours on a Saturday and help people fill out expungement paperwork. It's things like that. And so, yes, the whole point of this and the reason why we needed to come to you for approval is because they won't be doing commission work. They will be working with people who can't afford a lawyer.
It is on their own time, correct?
Well, we have a combination. We have the opportunity to up to 10 hours written into our policy, up to 10 hours of admin leave that lawyers can access if they need to do something during the workday. And so, again, we're trying to make it convenient for lawyers to do this. And we followed a model that we got from the AG's office, the county attorney's office in Baltimore County and some other places. There's actually a model policy that we used to then craft for ourselves our policy. So, the idea of having administrative leave is it's where you put your money where your mouth is. We're going to encourage, but if we weren't going to allow some leave, it would be encouragement without really backing that up. So we wanted to back it up, and we don't know if 10 hours is too much or too little or what. We want to sort of get into the program, figure it out, and then we'll make adjustments as necessary.
I just question, I support it, but I just want to see that ethically, if we are allowed, the 10 hours of admin time is per year, correct? Each
That's
annually.
correct.
Yeah. So
That's correct.
is it really allowed? Because it could open a can of worms that we use the public money for good cause. Because a lot of times, even we cannot even contribute or donate anything for a good cause. And this is for a good cause. and but it's using the public resources for a good cause, and I thought that was not allowed to do.
Well, again, like I said, we got the policy from, the model policy from other agencies, including the AG's office. We will monitor the use of admin leave to see if anybody's even using it. It may be that our attorneys find that it's more convenient for them to do, this type of work on the weekends as opposed to during the week. People have lives, and adding something to their weekday routine for most people is going to be very difficult. They have not just the job with the commission, they have other things to do during the weekday. And if they're anything like me, they're running. So I don't actually think we're going to get a lot of takers for the admin leave. We may get a few, and we'll reevaluate, once we have a year of data to look at. It may be we don't need the admin leave to incentivize our attorneys to do this type of work. So we're going to try it, and then we'll see if we have to pull it back or if we, can leave it in place. Because if it's not used that much, we may just find that we can eliminate it.
Also, to add,
Only concern-
the Maryland courts, actually, they also support this, and the need is there for public servants. This is a public service. The need is there for public service attorneys to do this work. And even in the legal code, while it's not mandatory to provide pro bono service, it's highly encouraged. So this effort is supported by Maryland courts, by other government agencies. And it's not seen as an ethical violation, nor is it seen as a misuse of public resource to provide this public service, because it is so necessary and it's so needed. And it's more of a factor of it being folded into the idea of public service.
Also, Commissioner Pettit.
Understand that my only concern is this, that because I had a situation like that, other parts, not lawyers, this may set an example, and other divisions or other people that they want to do a public work or public, service or charity that is not related to people doing work, ask for admin leave and say, well, the question is that how come it's allowed in one part of the commission and is not allowed in the other parts of the commission? That's the question I have. And if it's a policy set like that, I do not know if we can justify it, that the 10-hour admin is allowed for a public service just for the council and not for other departments or divisions or staff, unless that you can bring it as a good reason that it could be justified. This is a question I have.
Commissioner
I have
Pettit.
no problem people do it on their own. That's perfectly fine. And that's what I have always justified it. I said that public money is they're given to us for a specific scope of work. And if it is something outside that not related to the goal and visions of the commission, it has to be done on their own, not on the part of the, commission.
Commissioner Pettit, I think an important factor to recall or remember is that it's also a benefit to the attorneys, because under the judiciary of Maryland encourages pro bono service by attorneys, and they've also created now the Supreme Court of Maryland has created a program or a division of the court to foster pro bono services, because there's such a critical need in the state of Maryland. You have, for example, take Prince George's County, probably 75 to 80% of the family law cases are by people unrepresented. And it's a drain on the system. because you have judges that have to basically mediate between the parties. Also, the American Bar Association has a program for us, and they're even considering it in Maryland that perhaps making it a certain amount of time mandatory. So this helps our attorneys because it gives them a vehicle or a venue by which they can meet their pro bono obligations. Because each year, when they pay their dues, one aspect of that is they have to fill out a report as to how much pro bono they did the previous year. So it's a win-win for the agency because it also gives the agency a positive light to the public. So yeah, this is.
And if I can just really quick, so Commissioner Petalum, you bring up a great question. You know, why are the lawyers special, right? What makes them so different? The difference here is that pro bono is actually codified in the law. We're supposed to be doing this. The law says we have an obligation as attorneys, as members of the bar, to give back. It literally says that in our code of conduct, which is basically the law, okay? And that's the difference. I don't know of any profession that has that baked into their code of conduct that has the force of law. That is the difference. And, you know, I'm here to tell you, I believe in that. I think we need to do more of it, but it's not just about doing good and wanting to, you know, sort of do good. We have no choice. We have to do this. And as we go along, we're going to get probably to a point where the bar is going to actually mandate it and mandate certain number of hours because we are not doing a good job as a profession in this state. We are covering about 20% of the pro bono need in this state. That is abysmal. So, you know, the difference between us and architects is that we have this baked into the law under which we serve.
So, excuse me,
Mhm.
Ms. Gordon, I don't think Commissioner Patton is saying shouldn't do it. I guess her question was, is there any precedent for administrative leave to do this? I think that's maybe the question for government agencies.
I would suggest that the precedent is when other, when there's planners and they have to go to a conference or they have to attend a certain, professional development type of engagement, they are allotted administrative leave for that. And so this would fall under that umbrella. Professionally for us is the way we view that. So and again, it's 10 hours for the entire year. So if and like Ms. Borden said, a lot of this takes place on the weekend, so Saturday or sometimes after the work hours. But we did want to make an opportunity, again, professionally, because that's a professional mandate for us. And the precedent would be that other professionals within the commission, they are allotted administrative leave to engage in certain professional endeavors.
So I would be open to moving forward with this, with the stipulation that we be monitoring this and giving reports back to the board on a yearly basis of how the process is used, who takes, and then that would be mine, but I'm one of 10 members. So I just wanted to get feedback from us or chair.
Yes, sir.
And others.
I will be monitoring. So as Ms. Borden stated, I will be coordinating directly with the Pro Bono Legal Center. And so I will be able to track all the cases that we receive. I will basically be the clearinghouse or the screener for the cases that come in. So as was said earlier, I'll be the coordinator. When an attorney does want to engage, I will track those cases. And yes, it will not be difficult at all to report back the numbers.
Do you qualify it as training maybe? Because if it is qualified under training, then it just doesn't put that look for architects or engineers that they have to have professional engineering. And if they attend courses, that's not covered. attend courses to get the requirement for engineering. So maybe we could put that as part of training, that then it equals to the professional development, that the conferences or trainings that we attend to keep our licenses up to date. And that is allowed. I'm just saying that we don't want to give a look that a certain group are okay and the other certain groups are not okay. That's my only question that I was asking. I am not saying that it's not a good thing to do. I totally support, and I think that it's really a good cause to do the pro bono, to do it. I 100% support it, and I understand what Deborah said. I'm just saying that we don't want to just put it in that some group are allowed to do it and some others are not. That's the only question.
I may chime in. I think that Ms. Bourdain explained it extremely well, the position of those of attorneys. And I agree with Commissioner Harris in saying that we want to make sure that we institute some type of reporting system so we can see the true benefits of it and to make sure that we are following the guidelines. I think if there are no other questions, is there a motion to approve this?
So
Move approve. I second, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Washington.
They're properly moved to second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is amendments to Maryland National Capital Partner Pending Debt Management and Post Insurance Compliance. Mr. Cole.
Chair, Barnes, members of the commission, good morning. For the record, Gavin Cohen, Secretary Treasurer. In the auditorium, Jason Lawrence, the Deputy Director of Finance, has a brief presentation for the commissioners. Thank you.
All right, good morning, Chair Barnes, Vice Chair Harris, and commissioners. My name is Jason Lawrence. Again, I'm the Deputy Finance Director, and I'm pleased to present to you the Commission's Debt Management and Post-Issuance Compliance Policy. This is one of the main policy documents used by the Department of Finance, and what it does is provides guidance to the Commission as to the types of debt it can issue, as well as any legal or regulatory requirements. We like to regularly update this policy to ensure that it reflects best practices in public finance, as well as to make sure that the commission is following the law and also is in compliance. So what this does is combines the commission's 2012 tax-exempt post-issuance policy along with the most recent debt policy that was last updated in 2019. These changes as presented have been reviewed by both our bond counsel, McGuire Woods, as well as our financial advisor, Davenport. And to summarize the minor changes recommended by our financial advisor, Davenport, there are now references to Section 148 of the Internal Revenue Code, which addresses arbitrage bonds, which is otherwise just bond refinancing. In Section 4C, you'll notice a change to the variable rate debt threshold, which is the amount of variable rate debt that each county should carry. And that threshold changes from 15% to 10%. In Section 5B3, you'll see a change to the debt payout ratio, which is the amount of debt that the commission should pay off within a 10-year period. And the policy affirms that that ratio should remain above 60%. And finally, in Section 5D, you'll notice that we've established a fixed cost burden calculation, which basically states that the commission's debt obligation should not exceed 25% of its general fund expenditures. And that pretty much summarizes the changes. And those changes are meant to reflect a conservative approach to financial management. And it also is designed to reduce risk to the commission. Once this policy is approved, it will be uploaded to the commission's website. We thank you again for the opportunity to present, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Commissioners, are there any questions?
Just have a quick question. Thanks for your presentation. So some, as you said, these are, seems like they're more conservative changes. And my question is, will they have any effect on us financing new deals? I mean, or whatever, a negative effect? I know we want to be more conservative, but how do you foresee this as we look into financing new deals?
It should have a positive effect, Vice Chair Harris. Again, it is reflecting a more conservative approach, so it, I think, puts us in a better posture on the market.
Okay, because it seems like in some cases we would be able to finance less money if their underwriting is more conservative, but I like the part about, you know, taking less risk. So I just wanted, there's some balance in it, maybe. Just, that was my question.
Mr. Cohen, did you want to weigh in?
No, Chair Barnes, that's spot on. Just some minor tweaks that again reduce overall risk, but really should have no impact in our future financings.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second,
Been properly moved and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
aye.
Yeah, ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is the approval of the FY 25 year-end budget transfer. Ms. Charles.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Terry Charles, Corporate Budget Director. I'm before you this morning to ask your approval to transfer $2,425,000 of existing FY 25 year-end savings to the commission-wide IT Initiative Internal Service Fund. The transfer would support the commission-wide Enterprise Resource Planning Replacement Project, or ERP. And my apologies, this is on circle pages 37 and 38. As many will recall, that project is highly anticipated and will be transformative in improving the commission's operational performance through a unified suite of applications that will bring finance, human resources, budgeting, reporting, and analytics all together. The requested savings are a portion of what remains in the 5 non-departmental accounts for the general funds. The request represents 62% of the remaining funds. The unspent funds resulted from revised funding requirements during FY 25. With this approval, we will transfer $275,000 from each county's administration fund. We will also transfer from the Prince George's County funds, $725,000 from parks and $700,000 from recreation. And lastly, we will transfer $450,000 from Montgomery County's park fund. And as a result of this transfer, all department future payments beyond FY 26 will be reduced. This concludes my presentation of the budget transfer request, and I will entertain questions.
Commissioners, are there any questions? I only have one, and I want to thank you for providing me the information that I needed so I can understand the significance of this transfer. Being that I was just coming in, I had questions on why we're transferring $2.5 million, $4 million, and to divide 700-something million from parks and another 7 from recreation in Prince George's County. But the information you provided me provided some clarity. So I thank you for that. If there are no other questions, is there a motion for? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Henry.
Oh, one quick question for clarification. I just wanted to make sure to ask Ms. Charles that if the directors for the county departments are okay with, they've been consulted and everybody's okay with the amount of transfer and everything like that.
Absolutely, sir. We did this in coordination with, and in fact, they were the ones who suggested that we make use of those remaining funds in this manner.
Okay, and it'll reduce their. I think you mentioned this. I just want to clarify. It'll reduce their contributions going forward. Overall, we're basically prepaying.
Absolutely, and I'd be more than pleased once we get through closeout and actually make the transfer to share kind of a department by department listing of contributions to date, so that everyone gets a sense of just how the allocation in support of this project is shaping up.
Absolutely, that'd be great. But thanks. I just wanted to clarify that. Appreciate it.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. It's now approved. The next item on the agenda is under 2026 recommended benefit plan rate changes.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Todd Allen, Director of Human Resources. I'm here today to present our health and benefit insurance renewal effective January 1, 2026. I'll be sharing a lot of good news as well as an area of challenge. The good news is quite a few things. So I'll just give you a good list here. The UnitedHealthcare EPO, which is one of our self-insured health plans that a lot of employees and retirees utilize, had a good experience and will have a 0% rate increase, no change to rates. Kaiser Permanente came in at a 4.3% rate increase, but we worked hard to negotiate that down to 3.23. So our final rate with Kaiser is better than what was in the memo. So we always try to negotiate everything down the best of our ability. So Kaiser Permanente had a great renewal at 3.23%. Our vision insurance, all of our dental plans, our life insurance, and all of our disability plans all have 0% rate increase. That's a result of a bid that we did last year, and we secured a multi-year rate guarantee. So all of those came in very well. Our United Healthcare point of service plan, which is our other self-insured medical plan, came in at an 8.5% increase. There was claims that drive that 8.5, and we worked with our McGeo union to review plan design, and we mutually agreed to some modifications to plan design that would lower the rate increase to 7.6%. The plan design changes on a point of service. Again, just to recap, the EPO is United Healthcare and has no plan design changes. The EPO in-network has the same doctors as the point of service in-network. The point of service has the additional flexibility of going out of network. And that was where our claims were driving an 8.5% increase. And with the proposed plan design changes outlined in the memo, the rate increase would go down to 7.6%. For example, office visit copay would be $15 instead of $10. Urgent care copay would be $30 instead of $10. And specialist visit would be $20 instead of $10. Now, we did look at Montgomery County government and Prince George's County government, as well as a lot of other regional plans. And our plan design for that plan is still very competitive, better than most, and comparable to Montgomery County government, which has one of the best plans out there. So we're still comparable to that plan. Again, that was the recommendations we came up with were agreed to with our McGeo union, which is our primary partner and has some language in its collectively bargained agreement. But we work closely on these things. Going down on the rate increase to 7.6%, essentially that saves us $242,000 a year, and that's every year forever. So there is meaningful cost savings there. And we also had an RX issue. I would say that is our primary area of challenge, and I want to explain that. They came in at a 31.7% increase, which obviously is very high. Part of how that happened is we had a bad year last year, and we used our excess reserves. I'll explain that a little better in a minute, to lower that rate increase last year from 21.7 to 11.7. So that was very beneficial last year to our workers. However, it creates a problem in future years. So it creates a catch up. So our renewal would have been 21.7, but because we're already 10% lower, then it's 31.7. So we worked with our union to discuss plan design changes there. We decided just to go from generic $8 copayment to $10 copayment. So just a $2 change, but we were sensitive to the fact some people have multiple medications that they have to take. So we're only raising that $2. And there's some other edits in your memo. Again, we looked at our neighboring counties as well as Prince George's County and Montgomery County governments, and we're still very, very competitive with our plan design. That only saved $56,000, but again, that's $56,000 a year, and it puts us in a place where we're better positioned for our renewal in 2027. And so we're hopeful that we would not have to make any plan design changes in 2027. We're also still continuing to pay the majority of all costs, and we have that budgeted. Our employee cost shares are either 80-20 or 85-15. There's a difference for the FOP that was negotiated that they do pay a little bit more. So when you wrap all this together, our total increase is 10%. And so there's some good news, as I outlined, and our challenge is prescription drug. Now, you might wonder why are prescription drug costs going up this much? A primary driver is high-cost specialty drugs. We have a good plan. We care for people. We do have an older age population. A lot of people come here and love the fine organization and the outstanding mission, and they stay for 30, 40 years, which is fantastic. It does drive kind of a higher average age than most organizations. And unfortunately, we do have a certain incidence of cancers and other complex conditions. That's what the health plan's here for. We care about our people. And so the plan kicks in and does provide different gene therapies, different specialty drugs to support cancer treatments. And those are often very high cost claimants. We do have some areas where we have increased utilization. We talked about GLP-1 drugs, much lower cost. However, the utilization of drugs had gone up quite a bit. So we worked with finance, and we did projections on our fund. When you have a self-insured fund, you're paying for the claims. We organizationally are paying for the claims. Kaiser is fully insured, so they just say, here's the premium, and they hold the risk. But the United Healthcare and the CVS Caremark plans are self-insured. So as claims come in, we actually pay the claims, and we maintain what's called the gift fund. The gift fund is is projected to go to $75.766 million, so about almost $76 million. Fortunately, we've been very fiscally responsible with the fund, and we not only have a reserve threshold that helps protect the long-term health of plan set at 12%, that would be $9 million, which we have in good standing. We also have excess reserves of $3.5 million. So over time, sometimes you accumulate excess reserves. That's quite common in self-insured plans. And you can utilize them to address rate increases that are challenging, like we had last year. We worked with our union, and we're recommending that we utilize 7.5% of the excess reserves to offset the prescription drug rate increase. That will help our employees and our retirees. It would lower the rate increase to 23.9%. It would still leave a healthy balance of close to $2 million in the following year of excess reserves. So I just want to close with saying we do recommend use of targeted excess reserves. Again, we're not touching our reserves. These are excess, and lowering the prescription drug cost to employees down to 23.9% increase instead of 31.4% increase. Thank you. I might as well slip in one more wonderful comment, just that we're ahead of schedule on something that's another benefit. I'll put that out there. January 1, 2026, the federal law for the Secure Act 2.0 requires that we add a Roth 457 plan. It's an opportunity for employees to invest after-tax money. No cost to the organization. It's just a good thing to do. And we're ahead of schedule. We think we'll be able to launch that by November 1. So I just want to let you know that we're well on our way. We'll be communicating that also during open enrollment period, which comes out in October, and helping employees review that. We don't give financial advice, but at no cost to the organization, we're able to add an additional benefit. So that concludes my presentation. I'm open to any of your questions. Thank you.
Commissioners, are there any questions?
I have a few, Mr. Chair. Mr. Allen, if you could, is the prescription plans, all the drugs are through Caremark?
Yes, we have our pharmacy benefit manager is CVS Caremark at this time. Yes.
Okay, and I know there's been a lot written recently about the middle distributors that result in an increase. Has there been any consideration trying to go to or using another service in addition to Caremark for other drugs? For example, using the company that Mark Cuban created, where he eliminates the middleman and is able to get regular drugs at a much lower cost.
Thank you, Commissioner Giraldo, for bringing that up. You had mentioned that to me once before, and I understand that program has progressed over time. And so we are looking at that and seeing if there's some additional ways that we could offer things to employees that might be direct. CVS Caremark is a large player. There's all kinds of news out there every which way on a lot of these players. And we are monitoring that closely, you know, for example, issues around CVS stores that might be closing or restructuring. And so we are in close contact with Aon, our consultants, kind of looking at different opportunities. We did use Aon to renegotiate our contract for our renewal that actually brought the rate increase down from what it otherwise would have been. So we did negotiate. But back to your point, yes, that I think is a wise thing to do, to really fully look at this space every which way. We're also unclear what the impact of tariffs will be. There's talk of certain drugs that come from overseas possibly getting a significant tariff. And so that is something we're watching as well. But I will look back on the latest update on that program you referred to and report back to you on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. No further questions. Yes,
I see Commissioner Washington.
Yes, Mr. Allen, thank you. A clarifying question. With regards to the excess reserves to reduce the prescription drug cost, on in our packet on circle page 41, the proposed design cost is do those numbers reflect what the do they reflect the excess reserves being applied, or will the cost go down even further?
So the cost would go down further on the RX. So just to kind of walk through that, excellent question. Because of the plan design change that we worked on with McGeo leadership, the savings of about $242,000 a year forever allows the rate increase to come down from what it was going to be, the 7.60%. And I believe that we had already solved that at the time, and I think that's in your rate sheet. But I want to make sure the final is 7.6 on the POS. The actual rates, by you targeting on the CVS Caremark, what it'll do is it'll lower the rate that the employee pays. And I have been working on that. We'll be updating our rate sheets so I can specifically give you an example. Individual coverage for CVS Caremark, we pay 85%, the employee pays 15%, and we can continue to do that at this time. So the rate would have been biweekly, let's see, the change would only be going up $4.99, but it was going to go up $6.56.
Okay.
So because we pay 85%, that we're absorbing most everything, but we care about all of our employees. We know even a $2 a pay increase, can be a hit. So by using the 7.5%, that's a very specific example of the employee's premium would go from 6.56 to 4.99.
Okay.
And because we have actually in that plan, and that's where it is a meaningful savings to a large number of employees.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr.
I will
Allen.
mention, for Kaiser, it's interesting. They package their prescription drug plan within, so there's no additional cost. So Kaiser has turned out to be a very cost-effective option, but that's why we have the number about 1,600 in CVS Caremark, because we have another 430 in Kaiser that get their prescription at no extra cost. Thank you.
Thank you. No
Yeah.
further questions.
Mr. Allen thank you for your hard work and, managing these costs and trying to get us the best plans as possible and as cost effective as possible. But question I had, can you put the dollar amount of what does the 34.1% increase look like in dollars? And like, is that,
Yes.
And
Excellent.
And can you state again, how much is required to pay that down to about 1%?
Thank you. Yeah, I brought my calculator just in case. Okay, so the RX program is projected to hit $21.7 million this year. $21.7 million, if we increase that cost 31.4%, it's $6.8 million. So again, this is a significant situation. And then by lowering the cost, because again, we have the excess reserves, they're already in our bank, basically. That would lower the rate increase to 23.9%. Let me just do that for you real quick. That's about 5.194 million. So what will happen then, the difference would just come down in the excess reserves. We have enough excess reserves that this is appropriate. I've been managing plans like this for 38 years. So this is quite common approach. When we have a challenge, then we can target the excess reserve for addressing that challenge. But we're doing it conservatively and still leaving a solid cushion for next year.
Thank you so much. No further questions.
I just had a couple of questions. Indulge me as I'm just coming in, because just coming in and hearing it sounds like a bad deal more than a good deal. Simply because I'm trying to ascertain the numbers that you have outlaid, and looking at the excess reserves that we have to use to offset cost. How long can we sustain that?
We can do it again next year, and definitely a little bit the following year. Then we would anticipate being close to around 12%. Now, 12% is also a conservative number that was, we did an actuarial study, came up with that. That would still keep us in a very healthy, long-term sustainable plan model. So we're kind of smoothing. With CVS Caremark, if we went back like 4 years, we did have a good year with them. So we have, had two, this is our second bad year, but that is on the backs of a good year 3 to 4 years ago. It's never perfect even the actuaries can't perfectly predict how this will shake out. But the actuaries have reviewed everything I'm proposing and have supported that.
So looking at a 10% increase and an increase in prescription for our employees, who I think some will take more of a hit than we are anticipating, concerns me. And just looking at the numbers in which you indicated that, those numbers for access reserve, we will be dipping into year after year. Did we ever look at any other outside providers other than the ones that we already have?
Yes, we have been on the CVS Caremark. We have been with them for many years. We, have renegotiated this contract. We do have the ability to look at some other things, including bidding. We normally, when we bid, we partner with Montgomery County Public Schools as a big entity. They partner with us to renegotiate the contract, which was mutually beneficial, but they were not wanting to bid this year. That will be reevaluated. There are other regional entities bidding, and we reserve the right to ride those contracts if we desire. So we are monitoring that. We've checked on a couple things that aren't yet resolved. For this renewal, this is the best deal we've been able to come up with. But you raise an excellent point. This is ongoing. I work on this somewhat every day, and we will be looking at all possible options. We'd certainly be happy to come back and report back to you more data as well. I know that we've had a meeting in the past about GLP-1 drug utilization, and I've offered to come back. I think we're looking at definitely sometime within the next year. I will check the timing, but we have pledged to come back and speak about some of the data. So that might be an opportunity for us to get ahead of the schedule in terms of these kind of discussions.
Yeah, and my final question, when you said that we are comparable to Montgomery County.
Yes.
What does that comparison look like? Are we up or down?
Sure. So with Montgomery County, it also was reviewed by McGeo to say the same thing. So there were an extra check and balance. So we looked at their plan design and they have similar co-payments. The reason we use the word comparable, not the same, is they, I think, for office visit at this moment still might be $10, but then they have other areas where they're higher than us. So there's some areas where our employee might pay $5 more under the new proposed plan design, and some areas that they're already paying a lot more. For example, I thought it might have been urgent care copay was higher than 30. Emergency room copay I thought was higher than what we proposed, and some areas like that. So it's kind of mixed. When we looked at Prince George's County, who we also care about comparing to, we were still ahead of them on most every front. They tend to pay about 70% of the employee benefit, and the employee pays 30%. So we have looked closely at them, and it looked like our proposed plan design was still more generous across the board. And again, we will want to be actively promoting all options for employees to re-review what's best for them and their families this fall. So we're going to have a lot of open enrollment meetings, including in-person meetings, to help people, consider what's best for them. We have found that for the people in the point of service, the data shows something like over 98% of care is in network. And a lot of people don't realize in network, point of service is the exact same doctors as in network EPO. And so somebody may want to consider a shift. If they did consider a shift, their rates would actually go down instead of up, and their coverage would be better. So we'll make sure they're aware of that. Of course, it'll be their voluntary choice. We'll keep the flexibility for them to decide.
And I can appreciate your work. I just have some major concerns. And just coming in, I would abstain from my vote as we decide on this, because just looking at the numbers, I think there's more attention that we need to pay to this because it affects the men and women of this commission. And looking at some of the increases and the access of reserves, all of those things are alarming. That I think if we don't wrap our arms around it, we're going to find ourselves in a real pickle in a couple of years from now. So I believe that there was one more question from another commissioner.
I don't see any now, but all great points you're making, Chair, and maybe a recommendation could be to Mr. Allen that, what would it look like, come back to us and at some point with a plan on how to manage some options for the long term of how to manage these healthcare costs. No, yeah, and this is just some contingency planning so that we're looking down the road, and so we don't have to react in the moment. Next year, whatever we were looking at options, some options that we could move forward with down the road if you can put that together with staff.
Thank you, I will.
Thank you.
So this we need to vote on these.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve, Mr. Allen's report?
So move approval, Mr. Chair.
And I second.
And once again, to explain my vote, I am going to abstain, simply because of the things that I said earlier, that I believe that there are some major concerns that will affect the men and women of this commission. So all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Yeah, it's having, thank you very much, Mr. Allen. Next up is resolution 25-16 of supporting recognizing the 35th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disability Act. One of my favorite persons in life.
We'll remember that. Good morning. Yeah, we're still morning. Good morning, Chairman Barnes, and good morning, Vice Chair Harris, and all the commissioners. For the record, my name is Callista Black. I'm the Chief Communications Officer based in the M-NCPPC Prince George's County Planning Board office. We received a request from bi-county staff for this important occasion. It's the resolution of support recognizing the 35th anniversary of the signing of the Americans with Disability Act. We have dynamic staff here, and as the draft resolution before you outlines, that this was signed, the law was signed, legislation was signed in 1990 by President George H.W. Bush. But before that, in 1974, our agency was already establishing a whole division that was special services, that with the support of parents, community advocates, and professionals. Even the 6 medals behind you in 1983, one of those was dedicated for leadership in special recreation and outstanding community achievement in serving people with disabilities. We are proud of our staff that this is a true bi-county effort. As they outlined in other materials, they are innovative with creating accessible playgrounds, choices, programs to address the growing needs of adult patrons, adaptive mountain biking clinic, and more. I want to acknowledge, sitting right here beside me, is our brand new M-NCPPC Corporate ADA Coordinator, Emily Lauren. And she and a number of members of the team are coordinating a virtual lunch and learn next week called Change Not Charity. It's a film and followed by a panel discussion. And then also our department, Montgomery Parks, is hosting a Disability Pride outside event. This is a true bi-county effort. Staff from the Department of Parks and Recreation, Prince George's County Disability Services, Montgomery Parks Program Access, M-NCPPC Diversity Council, which I will note was founded 25 years ago, and then the Office of General Counsel. So I'd like to say thank you to Jessica Homer, Division Chief Anthony Nolan, Corey Smith, Janine Blakely, Emily Lawrence, who I've referenced, Mary Bowie, Ashlyn Thompson, and Veronica Burke, who's with us today. So we will now ask you to endorse this special resolution.
Are there any questions before we endorse? Listen, I just want to say that when I was an elected official, I worked very close with the American with Disabilities Act. And I worked very closely with the arc of Prince George's County. Those things are very important, to me, and you have my commitment to be as supportive as I possibly can in this role or out of this role. Because I think oftentimes our members of this community with disabilities are often overlooked. And I think that we have an opportunity to provide great service and recognition of them. So I applaud you all for what you're doing and what you are coming before us with. So this resolution means a lot to me personally. And I just wanted to make sure that I echo that while I have this platform. So if there are no other questions, is there a motion for it?
I move approval of the resolution, and I think it's especially important now in view of the Supreme Court's decision yesterday, upholding the firing of so many employees from the Department of Education, especially those in civil rights that were fired. You know, we're supportive with the disability services that the Department of Education provided.
And I second, and I am so proud of all the work that the commission does to uphold the American with Disabilities Act. And that's what makes us this wonderful, great one commission. So thank you so much.
So commissioners, is there a motion?
Second.
Sorry, just excited.
And that's
So
I'll add another second if we need.
I appreciate that. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 So much. The resolution has now been approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There are officer reports in your package. You will have an opportunity to review those. If not, if there's nothing else, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And I second, and also we wanted to thank you for being the chair this year, and I especially as the vice chair, look forward to working with you, as you said, to making this the best commission around. We are already great, but there's always room to be better. So thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.